All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for popping into another green room conversation. This is part of the community college effort that myself and some folks from the Stanford D School have put together. So excited to have a esteemed colleague, friend, boss lady here to talk to us today. I'd like to introduce you all to Modupe Congleton. So say hey, Modupe, for the people.
Hey, everybody. I am so excited to be with you. And thank you, Brandon, for inviting me to be a part of this wonderful series and work that you're doing.
Awesome. So for those of you who might have been rocking with us for a long time, you know what's up. But for folks who might be viewing this for the very first time, this concept of community college is super important in that community, super important to a lot of Black and brown people and folks from underrepresented and marginalized groups. Like, your community is everything. Like, it's your education, it's your source for motivation and inspiration. So the community part of community college is all about that. And then the college part of community college as a concept is the notion of learning by hearing other people's stories and experiences and being able to take, our shared journeys with you as you navigate for yourself, how to be an entrepreneur or how to find your way from whatever education looks like for you, whether that's hustling, whether that's formal education, whether that's some form of higher learning and moving it towards, employment in corporate America, or maybe you strike out as an entrepreneur. So whatever that means to you, the college part of this is designed to give you free game, give you free education, give you our experiences. So very excited to have Modupe to chat with us today about her path and her journey. So let's start with just some self-care. Modupe, like, this has been a crazy year already. We're just a couple months into 2021 here. Just how are you feeling? This is a Friday afternoon or Friday morning for me. I would assume that going into the weekend, we're feeling good, but just give us a little bit of a check-in. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for that question because, it has taken some time this year to get to that point of even being able to admit that I am doing good, but I'm feeling good. I'm excited about the weekend, going to the beach to spend some time with my family. But yeah, I'm feeling good.
Nice. So when you say beach, like, I'm here in the West Coast in California, I got some beaches over here. Tell me about your beaches on the East Coast.
So now my favorite place to go on the East Coast is Miami, but we see the chaos of what's happening in Miami and it's kind of far. I live in North Carolina. So one of my favorite places to go is the Outer Banks of North Carolina. We normally just get a house down there and hang out, eat lots of good food. But I am going to Virginia Beach this weekend because my daughter just had my grandson. So he's about a month old. And we're just going up there to go see him and hug on him and love on him. So I cannot wait.
Man, well, first, congratulations. Throw some Zoom emoji on there on the screen. And I mean, motherhood and parenthood is the best hood, but then to have the next generation, let me just ask you to double click on that. Like, has it set in yet? Or like, what's it feel like?
You know what? It has set in. I'll tell you why, because this is her second child. So I have a 6-year-old granddaughter as well. And that even took me a while to get there. And, this is, for the people. Because, in my head, I'm a young, mom,
Yeah.
but this piece is pretty important. I, like some people, I had my first child when I was 17 years old. I was a senior in high school. And it was a rough journey. And to be completely honest, I actually told myself I probably wouldn't ever be able to go anywhere beyond community college.
Hmm.
All of my dreams I had before, I got pregnant with having children, I threw them out the window, right? It totally ruined my confidence. And then I just kind of found my way, right? So I have 4 daughters, 28, 25, 24, and 7.
Ooh.
Yeah, a 7-year old. So I say that it was hard with my older children because I was a young mom. So I was still trying to figure out who I was as a woman, what I wanted to do with my life. And once I figured out my hustle, I worked through college, right? So taking classes on my lunch break and picking the kids up and dropping them off at the aftercare so I could go and take more classes. And I did that straight for 4 years in undergraduate, right? I went to North Carolina Central University, HBCU, and exactly. Um, and so it really, yeah, motherhood means something different to me now because they're all grown women.
Mhm.
My 24-year-old's about to graduate from, A&T, another HBCU. And exactly. And so like I said, what motherhood meant then was survival. What motherhood means to me now is being present and doing all that I can to continue that, through my hustle and hard work, that I make a better life for them. They make better lives for their children, and so on and so on.
Wow, my heart is full already just off the intro. So, um, I mean, for people watching this, you might have come from very similar background. As you're talking, like the sense of what the archetype of a Black woman, especially here in America, as caretaker, as side hustler, as like the person to keep everybody in line, is starting to crystallize for just the relationship that we have. So thank you for sharing that with our community here, and
Absolutely.
maybe to have you reflect a little bit more, just to round out kind of your intro and journey. So, like in terms of work, what do you do? You told us where you're at. Just tell the people kind of like day to day, what are you responsible for, and what kind of industry are you in right now?
Yeah, so I'll take the last question first. I'm in the high tech industry, and I forgot to silence my computer. But I'm in the high tech industry, and I lead the Amazon Web Services sales and marketing, inclusion, diversity, and equity strategy and team. I joined Amazon about 6 months ago. And of course, even on that journey, I reached out to you to try and learn more about the company. Prior to coming to Amazon, I was at Cisco Systems for 14 and a half years, where I led the inclusion, diversity, and workforce strategy for the Cisco supply chain organization. I was also a culture ambassador for Cisco as well. So I had a wonderful responsibility of ensuring that the culture transformation that happened there, I got a chance to influence that. And so I'm looking forward to being able to continue to influence Amazon's culture overall. I've already had an opportunity to make a major impact in such a short period of time, but I'm excited about the journey ahead for me here at Amazon.
That's amazing. Um, and we'll talk a little bit more about kind of the path as we go through the questions here. But the next thing I wanted to dig into, just to have you talk to the people, how do the words community and college like resonate for you, like personally? You've jumped a little bit into it by sharing your introduction and background, but like how have those two words been powerful like in your life to this point?
Those words are really powerful for me because, from the community perspective, people will hear me say this. I am so proud of being a Black woman, right? I'm proud of every Black woman that has come before me in my family, as well as those around me that I get a chance to learn from. There's a certain level of resiliency that happens in that Black woman community, but then when you broaden to our overall Black community, right, that sense of community is powerful. And even as I look across other communities, right, as I started to travel internationally, that's when I really started to experience how other communities, other cultures, how they value community, right? And so all the work that I lead today, inclusion, diversity, and equity, it's great, but without that foundation of community, which in ID&E is usually under the terms of inclusion and belonging, right? So how do we create this environment where everyone feels welcomed, they feel connected, they feel respected, and they feel like they can actually thrive and be successful? That's why community is so important. And when you tie community and college together, not everyone has the ability the finances
Mhm.
to go out and learn and go to college for 4 years. Many of us are that one person in our family. You're not only trying to educate yourself, but you have to help your parents pay the bills. You
Yeah.
also have to help, like your grandmother get to and from her doctor's appointments, right? There are some real things that are happening in our communities. And so by having community colleges, it creates those opportunities for people who didn't see 4 years
Mm.
as a part of their trajectory. But now the community college has given them that space to go on that journey,
Yeah.
not through 4 years, but maybe through 6 months, maybe through a year, maybe to 2 years. And I'll tell you one thing that I learned when I was in the supply chain industry. As we started to look across different disciplines, this notion of having a 4 year degree to be successful is not necessarily true, right? So when we started to explore things like career technical learnings, right? So maybe it's an 8 week technical program that someone can take where they walk away with the same level of deep subject matter expertise with a very focused type of learning. Those individuals still have the ability to go and get jobs, right? Where they're making 65 to 75, $85,000 a year.
Yeah.
And not just in the high tech industry, but as I said, in supply chain, you think about the full breadth of supply chain from manufacturing, distribution, end to end product
Mhm.
fulfillment, et cetera, right? A 4 year degree isn't always required for someone to get a job in a manufacturing facility or in a distribution warehouse, right? There are learnings that can happen at that community college level. So those ability to take in learnings and just grow on a micro level is powerful. And without community colleges, we would have people waiting in line for that moment to go to a 4 year, or we would have people who are just standing in a space feeling that there is a level of I can't do anything because I don't have any alternative paths. So community colleges create that alternative path for people.
Yeah, that's very kind of a poignant point. And I think we're at an interesting point in history in that knowledge has been democratized. The amount of times my 9-year-old tells me that she learned something on YouTube or that she asked Alexa a question and got the answer to it makes it very clear to me that the prestige, of Ivy League schools and, those brands, they'll have to think about how they differentiate amongst themselves and then how they treat students and how they curate experiences maybe because the expectation is that you should be able to learn anything if you have an internet connection and some kind of device. So to be able to like make recommendations to job seekers and early in career people these days is a totally different thing than what you and I might have um, had to take in as recommendations from like the generation above us. So for anybody watching this, you're at a really exciting time. If you're looking to get into supply chain industry or the tech industry, but also with the pandemic, with a lot of social injustice and a lot of economic uncertainty, we also have a lot of grace for you because you're going through it at this point if you're not on the ship of a company right now. So yeah, thank you for sharing some of those thoughts. And as you were talking about it, it led me to want to probe into a little bit of a different question in terms of like in this uncertain time, what are some of the things that are giving you some hope and like things that you draw inspiration from as you kind of bring yourself to this inclusion, diversity, and equity work?
Before we get to that question, I might need you to ask me again because I want to make sure that for those that are listening, this is one of the beautiful things of working at Amazon, right? And as we explore those alternative pathways to whether it's becoming cloud certified or ensuring that you have the needed competencies and skill sets to be successful here, Amazon has a full suite of programs that make those things possible for people that are attending community colleges, right? And that's the one thing I think that's really powerful and maybe something that not a lot of people know about Amazon. It's not just about how we show up in the market per se, but
Yep.
it is our commitment to community, to social justice, to impacting the world overall. So I wanted to make sure that that I included that as well. Okay, so now ask me the question again.
Yeah, let me plus one on that real quick, just because, when I worked at Cisco, like back when we were at the company together, it's funny to reflect that in my high school, there was a Cisco Academy where I learned networking, and I was splicing Ethernet cables together and, like, learning the very fundamentals of routing and switching. And the fact that that love of engineering was born in high school, it had nothing to do with what I studied in college. I used 5 to 10% of what I learned in formal school, but so much to your point about um, accessibility, and a 4-year degree is great, but it's going to take a lot of on the job learning and relationship building and support in order for you to succeed at whatever you're doing. So if you're watching, like, don't count yourself out of any opportunity just because you don't have that 4-year degree. I think that again, with the free access to opportunity and information out there, if you couple that with a network of people who can support you, and some people who are already in those roles kind of giving you the game and giving you advice, the sky's the limit. So I just wanted to add that to the question. It was about, how do you find inspiration, and what kind of things bring you hope as you're making your way into this work about inclusion, diversity, and equity. And this hasn't been a thing in the tech industry for like decades. So this is a maybe new-ish phenomenon. Maybe you start with just like, what is it for people that aren't super deep into the space, and then talk about what inspires you and what brings you life as you try to put one foot in front of the other one day at a time in this job.
Yeah, so inclusion, diversity, and equity, if you think about it in the simple sense of the way of the term of inclusion is belonging, diversity is representation, and equity is about fairness, right? And historically, and we see this not just in high tech, but across hell, every system, right? Every system, whether it's from, education, or it's housing industry, the real estate market, all of these different things. Um, when you think about how we create opportunity for people from underrepresented communities to have access and opportunity to the same things that people from other communities have, companies are really leaning into developing comprehensive strategies to impact that, right? And historically, that has not been done in corporate America, right? It's become very popular over the past 10 to 15 years, right? And but previously, what that looked like in corporate America was through affinity groups or employee resource organizations. And one example would be, I'm a Black employee and I am going to join a group of fellow Black employees where we come together, we share like ideas, we create our own sense of community. So back to that importance of community, right? We create that in corporate America. But over time, it's really evolved to the space of, when we look at every aspect of the talent cycle. So
Mhm.
how do we attract talent? How are we developing the talent that's here? How are we looking at the experience for that talent overall? And then as talent, which happens, as talent leaves the company,
Yep.
what was the experience? Are we capturing that experience so that we can continue to transform and be better? And so when we think about inclusion, diversity, and equity, my team is tasked with really owning and building a comprehensive strategy of driving that inclusion, that belonging, increasing diverse representation, but more importantly, constantly on this journey of fairness, equity, and equality. And then last but not least, one thing that I'll also add is that, Amazon is a customer obsessed company, right? Everything we do, we're working backwards from our customers. And the beautiful thing of what's happening right now is our customers are also on a journey. And as we are on that journey with our customers, we get a chance to learn from each other, right? So those are some of the things that I get the beauty of doing, and hopefully everyone has some understanding of inclusion, diversity, and equity from there. But these are the things that keep me hopeful and inspired. I am really inspired every day by the number of people that reach out who either want to learn more,
Mm.
who are willing to lean in and make a difference. And I'm inspired by the people who understand that inclusion, diversity, and equity is not just the nice thing to do, it's not the fluffy thing to do, but it's the human being, right? It's about being better human beings
Yeah.
and creating space for people to feel valued and respected. There are so many people of all races, ethnicities, etc., that believe in that work. That keeps me inspired. Where I'm hopeful is that we're not at a space of perfection today, but we're on a journey, right? And I'd rather be on a journey than to be at a company where the conversations are not happening,
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty of where we are right now. And what keeps me hopeful and optimistic is we have such a journey ahead. There are going to be missteps, right? There's often missteps with every company, every industry, but how we pivot, right, and learn from our missteps, that's where we truly get a chance to see the impact and the sustainable change that we'll have.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think, it's easy to be the guy or the girl throwing kind of rocks at the glass house. But I think it's also really exciting to jump onto a ship and then see what's there, and to be an engineer, even if you're not an engineer, like how can I construct systems and mechanisms to make this better and leave it in a state that's more fair, that's more equitable, that's more something that the folks internal and the folks outside who are looking at the brand or looking at the company could be proud of. So that's absolutely something that I also get really excited about as I bring a little bit of my interest. This is it's not my main thing at Amazon, but like something I love to do, as you know. We've got a long way to go, but I'm proud of some of the steps that I've seen from our company and then from other companies in the tech industry as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah, to that point about inspiration though, I'm looking behind you at some art and some plants. We're at the 25 minutes in or so. Give me a sense of maybe some hobbies or things that are not work related that bring you life and that give you some inspiration.
Oh my gosh, there's so many things, Brandon. I was just talking to someone this morning and talked about the fact that, like, one of the biggest issues with the pandemic, I used to travel about 65% of the time before the pandemic hit. And so not being able to really travel just hit me hard and I didn't realize it. And so I'm happy to be able to step back out there and travel because I absolutely love traveling the world.
Yeah.
But Modupe on an everyday basis. So just for the people in the front and the back and in the middle, I have not done my hair for the day. It's Friday. I'm happy about it. I'm excited to be here. Modupe is that person that loves to laugh, right? So I seek out laughter. I love to spend time with my children. I am obsessed is probably a strong word. I love shoes.
Mhm.
And so I'm constantly looking for the next most amazing shoes. I do love art and I'm excited to get ready to, like, we're going to be moving shortly. And I'm just looking forward to having so much beautiful art around my house. I cannot wait. Plants, this is fake because I cannot keep a plant alive. So this is because we are now doing Zoom meetings, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I got like the Black Girl Magic thing somewhere, like a backdrop. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this is Amazon, probably shouldn't use that. Um, but yeah, Modupe is a heavy binge watcher of every popular show. Just finished watching Your Honor on
Mhm.
Showtime. Amazing if you haven't seen it. I love to just be me, be happy, and just be with my family. I live to spend time with my family.
Yeah, same. I don't have four, I had three, and they're a little bit younger, but
They're
um,
little.
yeah, to your point about laughter, maybe the next question I could ask is like, what's the last thing that made you like literally laugh out loud?
This is a good one. I hope she doesn't come running in here when she hears me tell this. But my 7-year-old is probably one of the most funniest people in the world. And my oldest daughter, they're really close. And she sent her a text. My 7-year-old sent my 28-year-old daughter a text, and she said, I miss you. I love you. I'm so happy to have you. And so my daughter said she's thinking, oh my God, that's so sweet. And then the second message was psych. And so she said, I really thought she was being genuine. I was in a meeting yesterday when I read that text message.
Yeah.
I was in tears. I had to get up from the computer in tears. So it's like little things like that that I just appreciate so much. And I've told that story probably 4 times since yesterday. Love
Yeah,
it.
that's amazing. To your point about shows, I just finished there's a documentary about Black art on HBO Max that I just finished, and like a bunch of the Black painters and sculpture folks, this guy named Theaster Gates. If anybody's out there and is into Black art and the history of it, this HBO documentary went like back 100, 200 years and just talked about it all the way up until present day. So it's a recommendation from my side.
Yeah,
And
you have to tell me. You have to send me that because I'm gonna watch that on our drive to the beach. Yeah.
yeah,
And I
and
would say check out One Night in Miami too, if you haven't seen that on Prime. It's
yep.
Coming to America, of course, right? Like just some good movie, good quality movies out right now.
Yeah, lots of stuff that we could complain about, but the pandemic has forced us to watch a whole lot more and to consume information in a different way. So maybe my next like lightning round question of sorts would be about food. I know that's a big inspiration for me. I don't know if you cook a lot or if you're a chef or if you like do takeout. I do so much takeout, but like what are the top couple of dishes that you like to chow down on or cook up for your family?
Yeah. Okay. So prior to coming to Amazon and no, I would say maybe over the last 5 years of my career, I do not cook as much as I used to. I literally order my groceries.
Yeah.
Like same to your point, Grubhub, Uber Eats, all of the above. Um, my favorite type of food that I absolutely love is Mexican food,
Mhm.
right? So that's always my go-to. I remember one time I was playing a game and everyone else had to guess my favorite food.
Mhm.
And I wrote down fried chicken because I love fried chicken. And they all looked at me and said, you eat Mexican food like every other day. Like, what are you talking about? And then I said, oh, right. Okay, good. Here are the things that I eat right now. It's going
Mm,
to sound crazy. Pomegranate seeds, like they're going out of style,
mm.
jumbo sized blueberries,
Okay.
and cheese. Those are my 3 things that I love and can eat nonstop all day. And a good glass of red Pinot Noir, I'm in heaven.
Yeah, I looked at wine as a teenager, like, ugh, it's nasty. Coffee, same way. But then I find myself, years later, that's like one of the joys of a Friday evening. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. It started with a good cup of coffee. Doesn't matter if I'm sick, healthy, dieting, whatever. I have to have my coffee in the morning, right?
Yeah.
One thing I've gotten in that's pretty new or whatever for me is bulletproof coffee with
Mm,
bulletproof creamer,
okay.
right? And so I'll have that. And yes, and I look forward to closing every evening with a wonderful glass of Pinot Noir.
Amen to that. Amen.
Mhm.
And then one other thing that I'm sure plenty of watchers and viewers are into, and you use in the pandemic to get you through the day, is music. I know for me, I love so much music. So give me a couple of either genres, artists, stations. Give me just a little bit of the music game on your side.
Yeah, so it could vary. I am a Saturday morning, Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? Say a Little Prayer by Aretha Franklin. That's me Saturday morning when I get up, blasting through the house. During the week, if I'm working out, then it's definitely Nipsey Hussle or Meek Mill. And if I'm just in a vibe, just driving, it might be Summer Walker,
Mhm.
right? And for another drop or burst of energy, it could be Toby Nwigwe. I know I
Mm.
probably said I don't know if I said his last name right, but I love the song Eat with him and his wife Fat. Yeah, so it depends on the mood, the day, the vibe, and how it moves me, but
Yeah,
I love multiple genres.
that's awesome. I'm a big fan of Toby as well. We have a mutual friend in common, and when he came out here, this was probably right before the pandemic started. I got to meet like pre-pregnant Fat at the concert, and nicest, most genuine people that you'll ever meet. And the music and like the way that they came into the game without much support and
Yeah.
like without a signed deal is like daily inspiration and motivation for people who come from like our communities to like believe in something, to put
Yeah.
in the consistency, and then to see it, you know, thrive. Like this man was featured, you know, at the NBA All-Star game and is doing just like major stuff. So shout out to all of my Toby and Wigway fans
Yeah,
out
guess
there.
where I learned about him? This is also giving you another glimpse into who I am. I grew up on radio, right? So I love like certain aspects of talk radio, and I love Sway in the morning,
Mhm.
right? And I also love like his freestyle when
Yep.
people come and do their freestyle. And I live for when he calls someone a hyena.
Yeah.
Um, but when I saw Toby's flow on there, I had to look him up. I was like, oh, he's
Yeah.
nasty with it, right? Like he's crazy. So once I looked him up, I was hooked. Following him on social media, right? I'm a fan of him and his family, how he loves his wife. I love it all. And I love their music.
Yeah. Success. If Toby and Fat ever see this, keep doing what you're doing. You're making the people proud.
Inspiring us. Yes. Keep inspiring us. Yes. Be that example of how Black men love their wives, and for Fat, how she stands as the symbol of quiet strength.
Mhm.
Powerful. Love it.
Yeah, and fashion too. Like, I mean, over the last probably 2 months, they've been dressing in the mint and like pictures of their family on the clothes. And I think they're hinting that they might drop something of a like a museum exhibition based on some of what they have done with the visuals. So, like, I know you love fashion as well. You talk a little bit about shoes, but how did you get into it? I know every Black woman has their story and their relationship with the shoes and the clothes and everything, but double click on that a little bit with us.
That's there's so many layers to that question, because my first influence was, of course, my mom,
Mhm.
right? And I mean, she is this like 5'2", little, excuse me, just always dressed nice, hair always done, always looked amazing, right? And I didn't realize that it really influenced me when I grew up as a woman, right? When I became a woman. But she was my first influence, right? So it's watching her wear gowns and fur coats, or what I thought was fur coats, but they were probably fake. Um, Faux fur is what we call them. So I would say, yeah, my mom was my first influence. And then, of course, over time, it evolved. I tried to adjust to, make, how can I say this? When you're in corporate America and as a Black woman, I'm tall, I'm not, super thin. You look at the magazines, etc., and you have this perception of what you need to look like in order to be successful, right? And that wasn't me. I didn't look like that. And so as I tried to figure out what my style was, I remember going down this route of trying to just wear suits
Mm.
all the time, right? Okay, I'm going to wear that. I'm going to buy all these power suits and show up with power suits. And I was so uncomfortable. I hate suits, right? I'm going to wear suits and flats. And I was like, I can't do it. And so then I just started to lean more into my own flair, or what I call being authentically fabulous. And that's when what I would consider my love for fashion really took off. I no longer made excuses about what I should wear or shouldn't wear. Of course, I'm going to stay within the confines of having respect for myself. Um, but I wear what makes me feel good.
Mhm.
And so it might be a pair of UGG slippers and some fuzzy socks, which are my favorite thing, fuzzy socks. Um, or it might be a pair of 5-inch, stilettos, right? Like just to go to dinner, right? Like different things like that. So I just love fashion. I love putting clothes together. I also love celebrating people who are also just wearing their fashion in a way that makes them feel good. If I may not understand the fashion or how they put something together, but it's how they rock it that makes me excited about it.
Yeah, yeah. We have a lot of sauce in our community,
Sauce,
and
that's what it is, sauce.
it, it's interesting, especially in the pandemic times. And I have a good time asking people, so are like you wearing shorts? Like I see, you got something dressed, like you got slippers on, you like what's happening underneath the camera. But it's been interesting over my time in corporate America
Yeah.
to observe. I started off as a software engineer wearing hoodies and like baggy jeans and being in my cubicle writing code. And now to have gone into business development and sales and just see, how different people present, um, accessorized, got the eyewear, got the, everything kind of goes together to present to the world what it is that you want to convey. And sometimes it's what's up here and what you're talking about, but then especially as Black and brown people, a lot of it before you get a chance to open your mouth is how you look. So
100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's something that can't be understated at all.
Exactly, exactly. And now, it's interesting because, I joke on a lot of these meetings that if you saw me live, it would be my shoes. You'd ask me about my shoes, but we're in a pandemic, so it's my glasses. Like right here, I have 3 pairs of different styles of glasses. And it's because I feel like we're in front of these computers all day
Yeah.
and we need something to just sort of like, almost like a natural icebreaker
Mhm.
to make you like be inspired when you're looking at yourself in the camera. You need to like what you're looking at,
Yeah.
right? Like what you see about yourself. And I think the other thing, when we think about showing up somewhere and not understanding that the you steps in the room before you open your mouth, it's important to understand that. I want to share this, and I hope everyone hears me on this. Don't live up to the stereotypes that others make about people from our community. One of my dear friends is a clinical psychologist,
Mhm.
and she was leading her. She was hosting her class last night, and I'm looking at the screen and I'm looking at the students that are enrolled in the class. Right, one young lady was laying down, right, on camera. Another young woman came off of mute and used completely broken English when she responded and when she started to ask a question to her professor. And
Mhm.
I was blown away by just the fact that at college level,
Yeah.
they were not conscious of how they were showing up in that moment. It was so disappointing to me, right? And so I just encourage everyone that can hear my voice, please pay close attention to how you show up on these Zoom calls, because whether you care about how you're being perceived, people are watching and they want to know if you use this as an opportunity to take it serious. If you
Mhm.
show up in a way where your presence, how you're dressed does not look like you take it serious, they will not take you serious.
Yeah, that's I hadn't even mentioned or even thought about, asking that question, but that's there's so many bars in what you're sharing. For folks who are looking to get into kind of job opportunities, um, it starts way before. And it's a mindset more than it is like how my resume looks, like what it is I'm positioning myself for. And some of it is, your parents have given you kind of the tools, or you've got mentors and sponsors who have given you the game. But before you get a chance to open your mouth, opportunities are sometimes afforded to you, and then opportunities are taken away from you. So you'll never even know how good it could have been or what could have come to you, unless you carry yourself and present in a certain way. So thank you for sharing that. I think everybody needs to hear a little
Yeah.
bit.
Absolutely. And this is another thing too. I think that to unpack that more, because what we're not saying is that you need to conform to try and look like someone else,
Yeah.
right? But whatever the best is of you, bring that the best is of you to everywhere you have to show up. That's all we're saying. Don't take it for granted that on these virtual meetings, that there isn't someone else in the room that's watching and is already developing a perception about the you, whether they know you or not, right? Like bring the best of you, bring your best A game internally, externally, whatever, wherever you go.
Yeah, and the world is becoming more digitized so that, it's simple for, an employer to like look you up on
Totally.
Instagram, check your IG out, check your Facebook and your Snap out, check your TikTok videos. So
Yeah. And they look.
we didn't have to worry about any of this, like as we
Yeah.
were like entering into the job market. So I was a lot less conscious about, what is digital Brandon or what is digital Modupe have to worry about. That's all changed now.
Yeah.
So we really um, go into it eyes wide open that everything that you present to the world um, is starting to bleed over, like personal and corporate and
Absolutely.
all of that. So um, yeah, present to the world the way that you want to be presented,
Mhm.
and to the extent that you can be consistent across social and across everything, do that. And don't conform, but be competent, be yourself, and be a value add to the people that you're presenting yourself to give yourself
Absolutely.
the best shot. um, a question that I wanted to ask, you mentioned your 7-year-old and how funny she is. And I thought to myself, what would 7-year-old Modupe, if she were to meet you where you are right now? Like, did you have dreams, or would you even recognize yourself today? So just take us back into kind of the mind of you as a little girl in terms of what you were hoping to accomplish, and then juxtapose that against like, okay, man, I made it a long way, but this was not what this is not what I was expecting.
Yeah. You know what? It's interesting because 7-year-old Madupe was a sad little Madupe, right? She was not a happy child. She was a funny child, right? Like I used to still make my parents laugh and do all those things. But I was bullied by my cousins. I'm going to be completely honest. And I was lighter skinned, my hair was really long, and I was treated differently.
Mm,
And it made for some very traumatic experiences, right? Just in growing up. And so seeing where I've been able to grow as a woman,
mhm.
I'm very proud of myself. Sometimes I forget to celebrate me,
Yeah.
but that doesn't last long because then I'll find like a quick reset
Yep.
and celebrate me for who I am and just stay in a space of loving myself. So yeah, like when I think about 7-year-old Madupe, it's like I want to put my arms around her and say, if you only knew like what's in store for you,
Yeah.
right? Keep your head up. And if 7-year-old Madupe was looking up to Madupe today, I think she would say, can I hold your hand?
Mm.
Right. Let's go ahead and move past this question. You're about to make me emotional. That's such a deep question, Brandon. Like,
I
wow.
reflect on, and I laugh about it too, because you know God laughs at our plans, right? I thought that I would, study some networking and be like some kind of engineer at some point, and to be born on the south side of Chicago and to like, have full visibility to drugs and to gangs and to violence, and to end up kind of where I ended up. It just makes me really thankful, and it helps to kind of inspire me to stay on the path to try to inspire other people and tell other little Brandons and Madupes who are maybe currently in the hood or in not the best circumstances, that it is possible. I'm living proof that you know your little old plans can turn into something that's a lot bigger and a lot better if you stick with it. You can keep your nose clean, try to connect yourself with people who are successful and who are seemingly on the right path. And I had to pinch myself a lot just because um,
Exactly.
I didn't see this coming. And to be able to sustain a young family and be out on the West Coast is and to be connected and in community with so many cool, Black and brown people. It's just an inspiration. I feel humbled to
Yeah.
be in this position. So yeah, that I didn't mean to make the tears start to come,
Oh,
but
I'm telling you, like
this
the
is
frog and throat moment happened. I was like, oh my God, that's such a powerful question. But I mean, it's such a powerful question that is one that I think that we should ask ourselves more often, because as I was listening to you and thinking about what you asked me is I didn't dream at
mm,
7, right? And so I would just say to anyone that hasn't figured out what the dream is,
yeah.
that's okay. Just start to dream, right? Start to dream. And no matter what you do, don't ever stop.
Hmm.
Even if you have this dream to become X, fill in the blank,
Yep.
and you have this next plan of getting there by X, right? Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And it doesn't all work out. But then somehow you still end up going down a different route, no matter what reset, right?
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason. You're supposed to learn from everything and just get back on track, right? Keep dreaming, keep dreaming, keep dreaming. I can't say that enough. It's like to be able to lay out and look at the stars and just think about the possibilities of what can be. That's why I love what I do, because I'm in the space where I get to impact my legacy, where my children will hopefully be able to say, oh, my mom did X, right? I often think about, when we're at that age, Brandon, we start to lose people, right? Getting older. And I think about this a lot, what would I want my obituary to say, right? How would I want my life to be celebrated? And I want to be celebrated. I want, there to be people that say I made an impact on them and they
Yeah.
have a clear why, right? So for me, every day, I live for that moment to know that I'm making a difference in someone's life, because I want them to be able to show up and give me my flowers when I'm here and when I'm not here.
Yeah. That's so heavy. And early on, as I reflect on what you're saying, like it was just about the money. Like I want to make as much money as possible. My parents, blue collar, on the border of blue collar, white collar. Um, First person in my family to study what I studied and to get into this type of situation. But it's funny, as you grow, it's been more about people and creating access and opportunity and sometimes capital to ideas that don't, get to see investors and things like that. And, nice fat paycheck is great, but to be able to provide an open door to somebody feels a lot better. I don't know if you feel the same way, but like that's part of what these conversations I'm hoping will bring to the people who watch them.
Look,
Um,
let me say a nice fat paycheck and and
yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah.
else you said. And here's why, because you started when you were talking about like your parents and their job, right? And we think about, people from Black and Latinx communities.
Mhm.
In order for us to truly make a difference in this world, we have to have wealth,
Mhm.
right? And so we have to take on this mentality of, I will be the person to interrupt the transgenerational poverty that exists in our communities,
Yeah,
right? So if my parents didn't have money and their parents didn't have money, how do we ensure that path does not continue, that pattern does not continue? Someone in that, in that lineage has to disrupt it, has to interrupt it. And that's why the you and the me and the people like us are here, so that we can help people understand it's the make the money and
yeah,
open door and create access to opportunity for others like us.
yeah. This ain't a church service, but I could say amen to that. I mean, and to anybody watching, this is not even your fault or your parents' fault or your grandparents' fault. I studied engineering, and it's been the most fascinating thing to read up on all of the hurdles in housing, in banking, in just broader society. So as you look at your opportunity to make a difference and an impact, maybe as a first in your family to do X, um, you're standing on your parents and your grandparents and your great grandparents' shoulders more than you are like forging this path, by yourself and for yourself, because they had to overcome a lot of opposition. And just by how we're sitting today, the struggle is clearly not done. The marathon clearly continues. But yeah, it's been fascinating. If you haven't looked into it, I would encourage you to read The Color of Money. I mean, read The Color of Law. There's a bunch of books that are out there that are just, I'm like, how come I never knew about that when I went to elementary school or when I studied,
Because our
whatever.
parents didn't know.
Yeah,
Some of our parents didn't know, right? It was about survival for many of them, right? And so this is where we get to interrupt it
yeah.
and educate.
Yeah. So with just a few minutes left, let me give you some flowers and say thank you so much for having a conversation with us. I know that people who watch this are going to be blessed and get a lot of gems and jewels from it, keep in their back pockets as they move forward. Maybe with the last couple of minutes, you just offer some of what you would hope for people who are viewing this conversation, maybe some sage advice, maybe some nuggets that have been passed on from other people to you and that you would freely give to other folks as they're continuing on their journey.
So I would offer a few things. The first thing is just like I said, no matter what, if you have not started dreaming, get started, right? Dream about what the next day looks like for you, the next month, the next year, the next years. Just start dreaming about what you want for yourself. The second thing I will say is that never feel discouraged because your story is different from the person beside you. Everyone does not have to have the same journey to what they define as success. Success looks different for everyone, right?
Yeah.
But the first thing you have to do is as you are clear on your story and own your own narrative, appreciate it. Be thankful for it. Because even if it has some hard moments in it, reflect on where those moments have helped you grow and become a better human being. And then one reason why that self-reflection is always good, because maybe you've missed some critical moments where you buried deep, but those were some moments that you should have really given more space to. And then you allow those to just help shape who you are going to become as you continue to dream. As I said, I was a single mom starting out in my career in high tech. I found my voice. I found my power. I've been able to align my purpose and my power and just the who Modupe is. So if someone was to ask me, who is Modupe? I know exactly who I am. So I just encourage you all to be encouraged, continue to seek out, vehicles like this one right here that Brandon has created to inspire people. I I continue to look for those people every day. And I am so honored and humbled to be a part of this. And just thank you so much, Brandon. It has truly been a joy.
Awesome. One thing, because you're the only Modupe that I know.
Yeah.
Tell the people, tell the people, did your parents ever get into like why we named you Modupe or what your name means?
Yeah, so my name means I thank God. It is Yoruba. It's very popular in Nigeria. So if I was in Nigeria, it'd probably be 1,000 Modupes walking down the street. But they named me after a Nigerian athlete named Modupe Oshakaya. And if you can imagine, as a child, that's crazy rough growing up with this name.
Yeah.
But as I became a woman and started to own who I am, I appreciate knowing that my name means I thank God.
All right. So that's the perfect way to leave it. I thank God for you and for giving us this hour, and for everybody watching. Thank you so much for rocking with us for this 60 minutes, and blessings to you and the fam. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon, Modupe.
You too. Talk to you soon. Okay.
All right. See ya.
Bye.